When my partner, Lucas, landed a prestigious new job, I couldn't have been prouder. It came with international travel and big responsibilities, things he had always dreamed of. At first, I was thrilled for him, but as the months went by, his frequent business trips began to take a toll on our relationship. Lucas had always been ambitious. I admired that about him. But with ambition came long hours, late nights, and those business trips that seemed to grow longer and more frequent. He promised it was all for us, better opportunities, a brighter future, but I began to feel like I was falling further down his list of priorities. We rarely ate dinner together anymore, and when he was home, he seemed perpetually distracted by work emails and phone calls. One trip, in particular, stood out. Lucas was heading to Paris for a week-long conference. Before he left, he seemed unusually distant, brushing off my attempts to make plans for when he returned. "It's just work stress," he said, kissing me on the forehead before boarding his flight. I wanted to believe him, but something gnawed at me, a feeling I couldn't quite shake. The first few days passed without much contact. He sent the occasional text about meetings and hotel dinners, but something felt off. He wasn't sharing the little details like he usually did, the funny anecdotes about his colleagues, the stunning architecture of Paris, or even the incredible food he was eating. It was as if he had gone radio silent, only reaching out of obligation. On the third night, I called him, only to have it go straight to voicemail. Hours later, he texted back, claiming he had been at a networking event that ran late. The tone of his message was cold, devoid of the warmth I was used to. I told myself he was just tired, overworked, and preoccupied. But deep down, I felt the weight of doubt settle in. It wasn't until I saw a mutual friend's Instagram story that everything unraveled. The post showed a group of people at a Parisian cafe, including Lucas sitting closely with a woman I didn't recognize. She had her hand on his shoulder, and they looked far too comfortable to be just colleagues. I stared at the image, my stomach churning. Who was she? Why hadn't he mentioned her? I decided not to confront him immediately. Instead, I started gathering evidence. I scrolled through the woman's tagged photos, piecing together snippets of their time in Paris. There were candid shots of them laughing at an art exhibit, sharing drinks at a bar, and even a selfie at what looked like the Eiffel Tower. Each photo felt like a dagger to my heart. Lucas wasn't just working, he was living a double life. When Lucas returned, I pretended everything was normal, but inside, I was seething. As he unpacked his suitcase, I noticed a faint floral scent that wasn't mine. My chest tightened, but I held my composure. That evening, over dinner, I finally confronted him with the photo. At first, he denied any wrongdoing, calling me paranoid and accusing me of not trusting him. He even claimed the woman was just a colleague, someone he was mentoring. "It's all in your head," he said dismissively, his tone sharp. But as I pressed, the cracks in his story began to show. When I brought up the other photos, his face fell. He admitted that the woman in the photo, Isabel, was someone he had connected with during the trip. "It was nothing serious," he said, his voice trembling. "Just a moment of weakness. It didn't mean anything." But his excuses only deepened the betrayal. How could he call it nothing when it had shattered everything we had built together? Heartbroken, I ended the relationship that night. Lucas begged for another chance, claiming he would make it right, but his words felt hollow. I couldn't shake the image of him with Isabel, laughing in a foreign city while I waited for him at home, clueless and trusting. The following weeks were a blur of pain and self-reflection. I moved out of our shared apartment, leaned on friends for support, and began the arduous process of healing. It wasn't easy, but with time, I found clarity. Lucas's betrayal taught me to value honesty and never settle for someone who takes my trust for granted. I deserved better, and I was determined to find it.